We gather and celebrate all that we have to look forward to as a church and all that is still to come in our life together. So Christian and I are excited to be a part of these coming things and the coming excitement. And we've really enjoyed hearing about the last, 35-ish years. So we wanted today to just weave together our past and our present and our future and hear from some other voices who can better help us do this weaving. So today we're going to start with a voice that you may recognize. So I'm going to invite Dr. Fred Alexander, who, like so many others present today, was here from the very beginning. And Fred is going to share about his experience and roles as Westminster Church formed. So Fred, I'll invite you to start today.
Good morning, everyone. When Matt asked me to speak about how we moved into this building and what it meant to me, I thought I would stop roughly here. Because this is actually, I would probably be standing on the chancel. At that time, the pews started down there and the chancel started right here. So you can check the carpet and see where it matches with the old carpet. For those of you who are relatively new to our church family, the building was 7,200 square feet. There was only one large window on either side and roughly 6 or 7 pews. To help you realize what that day meant to me, I would like to share a little of my journey with the new congregation, a journey shared with several here today. For me, as for all those involved, including several worshipping with us today, it was the culmination of a process started in Varsity Acres in the mid-80s, when that congregation agreed to nurture the growth of a new congregation in northwest Calgary on the Edgemont site already purchased by the Presbyterian Church in Canada. The Futures Committee of Varsity Acres recommended that Presbytery, in close consultation with Varsity Acres, establish an extension committee for the proposed Edgemont work. Reverend Kirk Summers was recruited as an associate minister for the purpose of nurturing that new congregation, and the then minister of Varsity Acres, Reverend Bob Cruikshank, asked me to chair that committee. It was an honor and privilege to serve God in this way, so I agreed, and with the help of dedicated members and with guidance from an assessor session in the Central Presbyterian Church, we took on the goal of fostering the new congregation in response to God's call and with the guidance of God's Spirit. In her charge to the minister and congregation of Varsity Acres, on September 1, 1987, Heather used an analogy of parent and expected infant to describe the relationship between Varsity and the expected Northwest congregation. If I may continue that analogy, the first outward signs of life were a gathering of those interested in the Edgemont extension in our home on December the 17th, 1987, and the excitement of the first worship service on January the 10th, 1988 at the manse, with Heather leading the music. I remember Kirk and I bringing the chairs from Varsity in the back of our station wagon on a very cold day. During 1988, good communication was maintained and fellowship promoted through various functions. The developing infant was nourished through services of worship at the manse, members' homes, and in Dalhousie Catholic School. The desires of the growing infant were determined through a time, talent, and interests questionnaire. As a result, worship and education, finance and maintenance, fellowship and care, and outreach committees were formed. Growth and caring were promoted through the work of these committees, and the developing church was advertised in local newsletters and through pamphlets distributed door to door in Hawkwood and the Edgemont district. Thanks to their efforts Today we celebrate the birth of the infant, the erection of the new congregation on February the 12th, 1989. With the goal of a permanent church home in Edgemont, a building committee was struck on June the 9th, 1989. I was invited to chair the building committee and had the privilege of working with Lyle Hallett, the chosen architect, and my next-door neighbour. With a very supportive committee, we proceeded to design and cost a building, usually meeting in our basement. I have many happy memories of those meetings, with the blueprints spread on the table tennis table and all providing their input. Thanks to a finishing and furnishing committee, the kitchen and bathrooms were equipped, the lighting chosen, and the interior decorating completed with lots of volunteer work. Given that I enjoy drawing and architectural design, I was delighted to be heavily involved in the overall design of the building, but especially of the windows and the chancel furnishings. It was a joy to have the latter designs built by a couple of my friends, 2 Irish and Scottish cabinet makers, in memory of Agnes's grandmother and my parents, and used in the worship of God. While the erection of a congregation might be considered the birth of that infant, the dedication of the building here on March 31, 1991 provided the infant with its first permanent home. So what did moving into this building mean to me? It was truly a day of immense joy. I was raised in a traditional Presbyterian church in Northern Ireland. I was taught that pride comes before a fall, and even though it was part of Roman Catholic theology, I was also taught that pride was the first of the 7 cardinal sins. On that day of dedication, the new church building, I may have sinned. For me, as for those who were with us on that day and still are, it was the culmination of a labour of love to God's glory. A sense of joy at seeing the fruits of the labour of so many used for the worship of God. A new beginning, a time of thankfulness to all those who had volunteered in the process, contributed financially, and worked hard on the construction of our new church home. It was also a time of hope and expectation, a visible sign of God in the community. The hope and expectation were realized with God's guidance. The rapid growth of the new Westminster congregation within 4 years necessitated extending the building from the original 7,200 square feet to the present 15,000 square feet to accommodate the 300 plus kids and the 300 plus households. As we go forward, may we grow with God's guidance as a church family, showing God's love and as a beacon of Christianity in this community and afar to God's glory. Thank you.